So when we click on this button, there isn't any functionality or nothing is happening when I'm clicking on it. So what we are going to do is we are going to add some functionality to it by adding an event handler on this button, that is the click event handler, and we will just give it a function which will be called on clicking this button. So let's give it update cart. So what we are going to do is when someone will click on this button, that product will be added to the cart. So we are just passing here that product, this product which we have here, we'll be passing this, and what we are going to do is we'll be just adding this product to our local storage. So now we will be having our card, and in order to save that somewhere, as we don't have any backend, as I told you, we'll be using local storage of browser itself, where we'll be saving the products into that cart. So we'll have one cart where we'll be keep on adding those products, but where that cart will be saved, it will be saved in our local storage. So let's create that function here at update cart, and remember we were passing on one parameter here, that is product, and it will again be of type product. And now before proceeding with this, what we will be doing here, we have to add that product to the local storage. But how we will do that? We will do that via service. So let's create one more service. This one was one we already have, the product service. Let's create a cart service. So again, I just use the old command that I have. So by replacing the name of the service, that is now cart. So ng generate service cart, it will create that service, and now we will be utilizing the service to add the product to the cart. So okay, we don't, as of now, one more thing to note here is that we don't have again a model for the cart, that how it will look like. So let's create one more model for cart, the same way how we created previously for product, cart.ts. Now what we'll be having in this cart, so every cart will be having that product. So we will simply say product of type product. We have imported that, plus it will be having some quantity. Now what is this quantity? It will give type number. So quantity will be the count of the product that we'll be adding. So assume that we keep on clicking this add to cart, add to cart, add to cart multiple times. What should happen? It should keep just one product in the cart and increase the count of that particular product instead of adding that same product multiple times. So that's why we are having the quantity, so that we can have the count for that particular product instead of adding it multiple times in our cart, so that we can display the count of it, that this is how many times we have that product. And then we have the subtotal, I would say product subtotal, and this will be again number. So the subtotal will be the price of this product multiplied by this quantity, and that will be the subtotal. So let's say if the price of a particular product is 5 and the quantity is 4, then it should be 20 rupees. Product subtotal. So this is how our cart will look like. Now going back to the cart service, for cart, let's create a function which will be adding the product to the cart. Now you might have been noticing that why I give it name like update product in cart. This is because this method won't be just responsible for adding the product to cart, but it will deal with other scenarios of adding the product in cart, which we will be discussing further in the tutorial. Let's first focus on now adding the product to the cart. Sorry. So here I'll be just again having a parameter called product of type product, and this is supposed to add the product to the cart. But now you see we don't have the cart as of now, and as we discussed that this cart is going to be saved in our local storage. And now in order to deal with local storage, what we can do is we will have to get the data out of it from the local storage, and we'll also have to deal with adding the product into that local storage or that cart itself. So for that one, let's first create, before proceeding with this, let's first create two methods which will be fetching the data from the local storage and adding into the local storage. So first thing, to get the data from cart, let's create get cart function, and this should get the data from the local storage, that is a cart. So here we will just simply, we will be returning something, but before returning, let's get that cart. So let's give it name temp cart, and in order to access the data from that local storage, we'll be having this local storage variable already, which is defined, because this is local storage, this is the part of the browser API. So we will be utilizing this, and it is globally available in the Angular application. So we'll be using this, and we'll be fetching that data on the basis of this key cart. This is how the data will be saved. So when the data will be saved in the local storage, we'll be using this cart as the key when we are saving it, and the same name we'll be using when we are retrieving the data. So right, as of now we are retrieving the data. So this is how we'll be retrieving. But one thing to note here is that when we retrieve the data, it is in the form of string, and it is always saved in the form of a string also. It is always saved in the form of a string, plus it is, when we retrieve it, it is again in the form of a string only. So what we'll have to do, we'll have to change it into the JSON format. So we will be parsing this in order to convert it back to the JSON format. Now there is possibility that at the first time when we are trying to fetch the data, there won't be any cart. So it may return as undefined or null. It is most probably going to be undefined, because obviously there won't be anything. So in order to check with that, we can use 2 exclamation mark in order to check whether it has something or not in it. So if it is there, then we will return temp cart, else we'll be returning an empty array, so that we don't end up getting the errors. So that's why we have done this. It's formatted, and this is how it looks like. This is for getting the cart. Now we have to, when we are adding data, we have to change it into string format. So when we say add cart data, or here I would say get parsed cart, because this is making more sense because we are also parsing. Similarly here we have to add the data, so we'll have to change it to a string format, that object. So we'll be just maybe making it or changing the name to add stringify cart, and here we'll be passing the cart of type cart. Here also we can mention it will be of type cart. And now from here when we are adding, we'll be just saying local storage dot set item. As I told you that we'll have to set that item, we'll have to, in order to add that, we'll have to use set item, and we'll have to use that same name which we have used here, cart. And we'll have to stringify it, that is, as I told, that data has to be saved in the form of string, and this will be an object, this cart. So we will have to change it to string. And how do we do that? How do we convert a object to string? We'll be using again json dot stringify, and we'll pass in the cart, and this is how it will be saved in the local storage. Now as we have these two methods, what we have to do is we'll have to first of all add the data to the cart and then just pass on to this method in order to save it in the database. The database that we have right now is local storage. So let cart of type cart, and let's get this data, this dot get passed cart, and we'll be having whatever data that we have in this one. And just what we have to do is we have to, in this cart dot push, you have to push this product, but this is not just product that we have to push, we have to pass the other details. If you remember, for cart we have other details extra. One is product, so we'll be just adding this product. The quantity, but we don't have the quantity right now, so let's assume that it will be 1 at the starting when we are adding. And there will be one more thing called, I guess we gave it name product subtotal, yes, and this will be like product dot price multiplied by the quantity that we have. So we're getting some error here. Product is missing in type this, but required in type, okay, maybe, okay, we can give it like this, okay, and this is saying quantity is unknown, so let's give it as of now 1, and this is how it will work. And let's save it and see what happens. Okay, we haven't used this function from this service. Let's use that in cart, so that when we click on, sorry, not in cart but home, so when we click we are able to add that product in the cart. Let's use dependency injection to utilize that service. Simply here we'll be just using that reference cart service dot update product in cart, and we'll be passing this product from here and save it. So the application is refreshed. Now before proceeding with a click on add to cart button, switch to the application and we have to see this local storage. This local storage, let me do, I have some data here, and now let's click on this add to cart button. When you click, there should be some data coming into this local storage. Okay, nothing happened. Let's check in the console if anything went wrong. Now okay, let me refresh here. Okay, nothing here. So let's check what is going wrong here. So this dot cart service, this is there. Okay, yes, we made a mistake in cart service. We have this card, but we have never called this method, which we should. So this dot add streamify cart, and we'll have to pass this card here. Sorry, yeah, this card, and then it should work. Save it and we'll check now. So let me click on this. Okay, we have it. So as you can see, we have this. I just click on this next product. So it keeps on adding here. It's not visible. It won't create a new entry. Just this cart key itself, it will keep on adding the data. So as you can see, now we have here multiple products in our cart. But you see there we have some something which is not going correctly. That is, we have the same product given here multiple times, whereas we didn't wanted this to happen. As we have already talked about this thing, that we'll be using the quantity to keep the count of each product instead of adding them multiple times. Since we are having the same product in the cart multiple times, let's write the logic for that one on how to deal with the count of the product in our cart. So in order to proceed with that one, our logic would be to first find whether that product is already there or not in the cart. If it is there, we will increase the count of that particular product and just save it in the local storage. This is how we are going to do. So we are going to check whether it is present there or not, so that we will do it by finding the index of this particular product which is just coming in, and this we will check in cart. So we will say cart dot find index, and we'll write this logic where ID of all the products which are already there in the cart, if it matches with product ID, then that means we have that. So we have p dot product dot ID here, and then we will write a condition here that if product index is greater than -1, that is if it exists, then we are going to update the count. So let's say we create a variable, let's say it is final quantity, and this would be cart product index dot quantity plus 1. So if it exists, we will increase its count by 1, and this is what we are going to do. And then we will be updating the cart. So this product at this particular cart, we have to pass in that product itself, and or else, yeah, we just have to update the quantity and the one more property that we created, that is the subtotal. So here we will have that this dot quantity will be the final quantity, and cart product index again dot product subtotal, which will be final quantity multiplied by product dot price. This is what it is going to be. And then okay, so we can put this condition in else, that is, if it is exist, then update the existing one, otherwise just add it to the cart. And that's all. So let me save it, and what we are going to do is we will now just delete it so that we can see whether the same products count is being updated or not, or it's just keeps on adding the same product again and again. So I'll just click on this product 7, it has been added, you can see, and now I will click on it again. So you see it has not added that here, whereas we can see the quantity has been increased. I'll click on it one more time, and you can see it has been again incremented. I'll click on some other product, it has been added here instead of updating the count, because it wasn't present there, so it has just pushed it here. I'll click on it again. Now you can see the same product, its quantity has been increased to 2. Logic for the product to be added to the cart. Now move on to the cart, where we will be displaying the products in the cart with the quantity and the pricing and all. So for that one, let's create the UI for it, and in here I'll be simply copying and pasting the UI part here, that is a row, column, and card will be there, and a table which we are going to use to display the products, their quantity and other details. So as we have this, we will here again fetch the products, the cart, using cart service. So I'll just inject this service here and we'll utilize this. So this dot cart service dot get parsed cart. This we are going to save it in a variable called cart of type cart. So this dot cart is equal to this. We have this, and now we'll be using the same variable in our template, that is in HTML. So here we'll be having a row where we can simply use ng-for to repeat the products inside it. This is what we have, and then td So let's save it and see how it appears here. Okay, it doesn't look that much good because you see the images are too huge. So let's give some styling to it. Here we can give styling to image product. So let's give it a class so that we can utilize that class in order to give the styling. Let's call it image product and image product. We'll just give it a height, definite height, auto height and width of 120 pixels. Let's save it and see how it appears. Okay, this looks better now. Fine, but the thing is, if I click on this one, it is not doing anything, right? So when I click on this plus button, it should increase the count. When I click on minus button, it should decrease the count. But here, one thing to note is that when we click on minus button, it should not make it -1, -2, -3 because that does not make sense as a count, right? It should be something positive. It should not also be 0. So when it is 0, we should just remove this product from the cart. So for this one, let's write the logic. Writing the logic on how to deal with the click of this plus and minus button. So here I come and we will just add an event handler here. Click event handler to deal with the click of plus and minus button. So we'll give it a function name update cart and we'll pass this item. We'll just copy and paste the same for plus button also, but here is a difference that how we will recognize that whether a plus button has been clicked or a minus button. So for that one, we can pass in some kind of action, that is, let's say remove for clicking the minus button and add for plus button. Let's create a function here and we'll be expecting here card, and we are giving here, we can give here parameter called action and we can specify what kind of values it will be expecting. It can expect add or remove. Now we can utilize this same method which we have in cart service, that is update product in cart. So here we have to pass in the product. As we can see, the parameter is for product type. So we have to say cart dot product, and we will also have to now send the action, that what kind of action has happened, whether I have just added a new product, or I would say not added, but whether I have increased the count of product or I have decreased the count. So that action we'll have to share, but we are getting an error because this particular function is expecting only one parameter, that is the product, but we have to send in this action also. So we will just add that parameter here and it will have that one. But now as you can see, we are getting error in home because here we are not passing. So here we can pass in add, because in home component or home page, when we are clicking on add to cart button, we are just adding the product. So just add. Now we have it here, and now we will write the logic on how to deal with the incrementation or the decrementation of product count. So here we already have dealt with that whether product is present or not there. So if it is already present, obviously, so whether we are increasing or decreasing the count, product will already be there. But we have to check here whether it has been increased or decreased. So for that one, we already have this action. So for that one, if we are increasing that, obviously we are already increasing the count, but if we are removing it or decreasing that count, then we should decrease the quantity as well, right? So we can here simply extend this existing code that we have. We can here say that if action is equal to add, then we have to increase the quantity, but if it is not, then same thing we will just copy paste and just decrement it by 1. But now here just uh, think of the situation as we discussed before also, that what is if I just keep on clicking minus 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 button, the count will decrease and will reach to -1, -2, -3, which is not a hypothetical situation. One cannot order a product with count -1 or -2. So in order to deal with that one, what we have to do, if the count goes beyond 0, that is lesser than 0, then we just have to remove it from the cart. That is what makes sense. So what we can do is, we can here write the logic that if the final quantity, so whatever the quantity is there, if it is reaches 0, that means the product is, this should not be the part of the cart. So what we can do, we can just remove it. So in order to remove it, we'll be using this function of array to just remove that product at this particular index, and else if the final quantity is greater than 0, then we have to deal with this. So now if I save it and just click on it, the count should be increased from 3 to 4, which is just happened. If I click on the minus button on product 1, then the count should decrease. It has decreased. And now if I click one more time, it should be removed instead of going 0 or -1. So when I click on this again, look, it has been removed now. But the thing is, it is updating here, not here. So we'll implement that also, how to remove it from the UI as well. So let's proceed now with updating the UI as well when we click on plus or minus button. Here we come back to our cart component, and whenever we click on plus and minus button, that is when we update the cart. What we can do is, we can just update this cart by calling this method again, that is get passed cart. I have saved it, and let me click on plus button again. Okay, it has been increased. Click on again, one more time. But you see, here it is coming like this. It's not a good user experience. Plus you can see that we are repeating ourselves with the same code. So let's deal with this thing. But in addition to that, if we remember, we are just displaying the product in the cart plus their pricing, but we are still not displaying the subtotal, the delivery charges plus the final amount. So let's first focus on that one, that how we are going to do that. So function to deal with the totaling and subtotaling of the cart, and also using the same line of code in that function. Let's name this function as generate cart details and we'll say let cart is equal to, or just we copy paste this one here, and now we can loop over this card and we can just do the subtotaling. So this dot subtotal plus equal to item dot product subtotal. That's all. And then we can just calculate total pricing, which will be this dot subtotal plus this dot delivery charges. And every time, so we wanted this one. And one more thing to note here, this which we should do is we should update this subtotal to 0, because we have written the code to keep on adding to that one. So we'll have to make sure that every time we are doing this thing, we just again update it with 0. We can utilize the same function and call it here and here. I'll save it and let's refresh. Obviously here won't be anything. We'll just go back to the home page, and now we will add some products to the cart. Coming to cart, we can see, and now if I decrease, our subtotal might be getting updated. So let's display that subtotal so that we are aware it is being updated. So create a new row, and we'll have to make sure that we display this subtotaling only when we have anything inside our cart. We'll say cart dot length, sorry, my bad, should be under double quotes, and then we can have td and see how it appears. So this is how it appears. Let me increase the count, and this pricing should increase. So you see our logic is correct. 1700 plus 45 1745. I'll add one more here, or let's add 250. So it should change to 1995. Yeah, correct. I'll decrease one more time, and it should reach to just nothing, because we don't have anything in our cart, so we are not displaying anything there. So one thing as some good practice to deal with is we will display a small kind of message where if we don't have anything in the cart, we'll just use here, we'll say else empty cart. We'll create a template here and we don't want actually all of this information here. We just have to have this template with this variable name, reference name to be exact, and we'll be having a row and degree with class text center, border 0, and an image. This image we already have in our assets miscellaneous folder, shopping cart.svg. I'll just give an alt attribute value as empty cart and give it a fixed height of 200. In addition to this, we can also give a message here that you don't have anything in your cart. You don't have anything in cart. And we can give a button also for a good user experience so that they can just immediately start shopping. So btn sm btn secondary. Okay, mistake here again, spelling mistake, secondary, and we'll give it a router link to our home page, and we'll say start shopping fix. Let's see how first this is appearing, and then we'll focus on dealing with that. So this is how it will look like where we don't have anything in our cart. I made this mistake here. Instead of giving a single quote, I have given semicolon. Perfect. So I'll just click on start shopping and I'll just come back here again. I'll add items or the products in our cart multiple times, and I'll come back to this cart, and you can see we have subtotal, delivery charges, total, and the pricing here. Okay, one thing, this is okay, correct, I thought this is wrong. So yeah, 5 times this subtotal. One more time, just click on it one more time. Yeah, correct. So this is how it is coming, and yeah, that's all what we were trying to do. Web development is an important part of any online business. Devs, as it is commonly known, sets up and maintains the online store. And if they don't do a good job, the store would pretty much be closed for business until further notice.